This week on Angelo's Motorcycle, we're going to take a little ride on the beautiful CFMOTO 700 CLX Sport. Stick around. The 700 CLX Sport by CFMOTO is a standard motorcycle with 693 cc's, 74 horsepower, 50.2 pound-feet of torque, weighs 451 pounds with a 3.4 gallon gas tank, has a 31.5-inch seat height, comes in at $67.99 for classic and $71.99 for the sport model. Taking a ride on the 700 CLX Sport by CFMOTO. This is the motorcycle that started it all for me with the CFMOTO brand. I've told the story before on this channel how I was picking up the Kawasaki KLX 230S at the dealership and saw the bold, striking lines of the 700 CLX Sport. It reminded me a lot of a Buell Lightning that I used to have back in the day. And I had a gas frame Lightning XB12, I think it was, Buell. And Buell had a lot of very interesting engineering features on that machine. It had the exhaust down low underneath. It was one of the first machines to do that. It had that ZTL brake rotor, which was very cool, that provided more efficient braking. The rotor went around the outer edge of the wheel. It was very cool looking. And that just lended to the cool lookingness of the Buell Lightning. The 700 CLX Sport reminded me a lot of that Buell looking at it in the showroom. So I naturally said, hey, wow, this is a beautiful looking machine. I might want to own one of those in my garage. And I said, I'll come back and I'll take a look at it. And I did my research on the brand and found that, CFMOTO is a real deal motorcycle company. It's not your typical Chinese motorcycle manufacturer. They've been in the industry for a long time. They have forged some major partnerships with major players in the industry. And they're making a wonderful product. And so the 700 just grabbed me by the shirt collars and pulled me in. And as soon as I rode it, that was it. I wrote a check. I took it out for a ride. The exhaust note, which we'll listen to here, that's just amazing. And this is a stock exhaust. It's a stock exhaust, and it sounds fantastic. I like the nimbleness of the motorcycle. I like the riding position. The riding position is not nearly as aggressive as you would think looking at it. If you look at them side by side in the showroom, you look at the 700 CLX Sport, and then you look at the 700 CLX Classic with its handlebars as opposed to clip-ons and its different seating position a little bit. You look at that and you say, oh, well, this is clearly the more comfortable machine, and the Sport would be more aggressive. And you would be right. The Sport is slightly more aggressive, but it's not aggressive to the point of being uncomfortable. It's really an amazing motorcycle because it feels like a sport bike, but it doesn't feel like a sport bike. It's very hard to explain. The riding position is comfortable. I'm comfortable on it. I am 5'6", 130 pounds, and I am comfortable on it. I enjoy riding it, as you can see here. It is by far one of my favorite bikes in the stable, and it sees a lot of duty. I have managed to put a few thousand miles on this machine this summer over the course of little ride, and I've done all different types of rides with it. I've done day trips with it with a backpack. I've done little runs to go get something at the store. I've done half days. I've done 100-milers. I've done 200-milers. I think I did a 300-mile day on this machine at one point. And just the sound of the exhaust. There it is again. Every time I ride this bike, it puts a smile on my face, and that's really what it's about. And the other thing is highway speed. Even though people would say, oh, it only has 74 horsepower. Yeah, but it also only weighs, 400-something pounds. So it's not a heavy machine. And the 74 horsepower is more than enough for the street. You're not going to use all that on the street. It accelerates briskly. It feels wonderful to run through the gears. and it just, even at highway speeds, tucking down under that little tiny, that little fly catcher that's on that front gauge there, you can get most of the way out of the wind on it, and you just put the cruise control on, and it goes on the highway. If I'm going up to MSF to teach a class, it's about a half an hour to 35 minutes on a highway to get up there, and it handles that just perfectly fine. I also really like the few modifications I've done to it. I've added some decals, the tank decals to it to protect the tank, and I've added the wheel decals. It came with gray wheel decals, but I took those off and I put yellow wheel decals on. And then I had the yellow tank decals custom made from a gentleman on AliExpress over in China. He custom made them because he only had the blue ones. And so he did a wonderful job, and it really ties the yellow in. I really like the white with yellow colorway that this comes in. I also made a change to the front of it. The front of it, there's these two white plastic pieces that cover the fork tubes. They kind of look cool. And so what I did was I took those off. What was happening is bugs would stick to it, and stick to it to the 10th power. And the bugs wouldn't come off, and it didn't really lend itself to keeping it clean. So what I did was I took it off and I degreased it, I cleaned it up as best I could, and I primed it and I painted it white. And then I put 2K clear coat over it, an automotive clear coat. And what that did was basically make it so that it was substantially easier to clean. But then what I also did while I was doing all of that was there are little CFMOTO logos on the plastic front end, and so I painted them black. I painted the letters black so that the CFMOTO logo on the front plastic things now pops. And if I can find a before and after picture, I'll put it up here, right here, and let you take a look. The other thing that I did with those white covers is I painted the sides black, and what that basically did was made the mounting for them kind of disappear into the background, and it completely changed the look of those plastic pieces. Having unfinished plastic pieces on the front of the bike, they weren't easy to clean. I feel like maybe CFMOTO could have done a little better with the design on that. So, but it was no problem. It took me no time at all to take them off and paint them and clear coat them. And now they've become a little bit more of a highlight of the front end, rather than just, a part that's there that was difficult to clean. It had gotten some road grime on them, and they were white plastic, and the road grime wouldn't come off with degreasers or anything. So now they are super easy to clean with the clear coat, and they look better with the black trim on it and the CFMOTO logos being painted black. I mentioned a few minutes ago the gas tank protector decals that I put on. This is the guy on AliExpress, and he only had the blue ones for the silver and blue colorway. So I had him custom make the yellow ones for me, and he sent them to me. And it wasn't really a lot of money, and I'm very happy with the result and how it looks. I think it does a really nice job of protecting the tank, but it also protects the side a little bit, because when you're wearing all the gear all the time like I do, you're rubbing up against the sides of the motorcycle, and it is great to protect that area. Also, I'm throwing a few shots in here. This is before I put those tank protectors on, but after I put on the yellow wheel decals. I am a big proponent of wheel decals. They are highly reflective, and at night they, when the lights shine on them, they're very bright and makes you very visible from the side, which is a wonderful thing for safety. So that is some of the things that I've done to the bike. So why don't we just enjoy the sounds of riding the 700 CLX, and I'll check back in a bit. going to wrap up this week's video for Angelo's motorcycle. Taking a little ride on the CFMOTO 700 CLX. Thanks for taking a ride with me. Go ahead and like, share, comment, subscribe. All that stuff helps me in the channel, and I greatly appreciate it. Don't forget to check me out on Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram, all as Angelo's Motorcycle. I look forward to seeing you all next week.